Hi, I'm Sophie Summers and welcome to the Crossdressing Lifestyle channel. Now this is part one of a two-part series where we're going to be having a look at the very tricky and thorny subject of permanent hair removal, particularly face and body hair removal. Now I'm of an age where unfortunately on my face there is as many grey hairs as there are dark hairs, or should I say there were. Now this video has been shot over a period of probably about 6 months from the early discussions with Shadi Dane at her laser hair clinic to the present day. Now there's a couple of things we need to look at here when it comes to permanent hair removals, and these are the things that we discussed in detail with Shadi and she enlightened me to. It's all about perception and what you think you're going to get out of this whole process of permanent hair removal. Now I would like to start off with a couple of caveats, as she quite rightly did to me, and that is that I am a genetic gentleman or male and I am not going through any hormone replacement or therapy treatment, and therefore I've got quite high testosterone count as I am a man, and therefore the strength in my body to replace hair is quite strong. It's quite sort of aggressive. So the success rate if you were transitioning and you were on, say, blockers or estrogen or hormonal sort of growth hormones, then the rate of success by using any form of hair removal will be considerably higher than a guy who is just going in as a guy and wanting hair reduction or hair removal. And that is very, very important if you are considering hair removal on a permanent basis. Matching your expectations with reality. Now, Shadi was very much up to the challenge of seeing how much you could reduce my facial hair in two aspects. One is the mass of hair that was on my face. The second one was to do with the amount of dark hairs, and more importantly, which is the biggest challenge that she was more excited about, was is there a way in which you can permanently reduce or remove grey or very, very light hairs. Now, we went into a lot of discussions about possible techniques to use, and some of it's quite unusual. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail as we progress through this video, but let's first of all start off by looking at me taking a standard shave and using something slightly different in preparation for going and having laser treatment. So the X factor ingredient there is that particular spray. Now that's a fairly unique type of product that's been designed to work with a light to grey hairs. It actually kind of works its way into the hair follicle and down the root, staining it right at the ball end, enabling the laser to pick up the darker hairs. Now it's quite a long process doing that, and I was actually doing it, putting the stuff on every single time I shaved, and particularly before I went to see, Shadi for a laser treatment. So talking about the laser treatment, let's progress on and see which sort of techniques she used to actually reduce or get rid of the hair on a permanent basis. So as you can see, there's quite an intense amount of treatment going on, using different laser heads for different approaches. I've got to take my hat off to Charlie. She really did sort of put her heart and soul into the treatment plan, trying to find all the various methods and different frequencies to use to get the best results. Now, I've been quite a few times over the months, and I can say, hand on heart, that I have reduced, basically all the dark hairs all the way around here. More importantly, around the lip area here, they all basically disappeared. I've no longer got lumps and bumps here, and it's something that a few of the viewers have actually picked up and commented on, how my skin has got a lot better over the last sort of 4 to 6 months, and that's basically down to the treatment that Charlie's done. Now the thing is, it's a dual combination here of dark hair and the grey hairs. Now let's first of all look at the darker hairs. As I say, they all went. Another part of the process we had to use was the fact that a lot of the hairs got sort of trapped underneath the skin. It's quite difficult to sort of get them out. So you had to sort of, how would I say, do some skin preparation work as well, sort of exfoliate. We did it quite drastically with a bit of CO2. A treatment which is quite sort of invasive on the surface level. It also got rid of quite a lot of my sun damage. So as you can see, the pictures are coming through here. This is sort of taken over a 5 or 6 day period when you can actually see the skin getting better and better. Now that actually helped to take away the surface skin and get rid of all those hairs that were trapped underneath. Now in terms of the grey hairs, as I said at the very beginning of this particular video, it's all about measuring your expectations. I would say, and now I have reduced and got rid of on a permanent basis probably about 25 to 35% of the hair all the way around. That's including the jawline and also the neck area here, which is quite difficult to get rid of it. So I'm very, very pleased with that. I never expected in any way, shape or form 100% success rate at all. So for me, it met and exceeded my expectations, and I think I've made a good choice in working with Charlie in different ways. And I've got to take, as I said, my hat off to her. She really knows what she's doing. Now, before I close this particular video, we move on to the second in the series. Some people are going to say, well, why didn't you use or consider using the more traditional ways of electrolysis, of getting the grey ones out one at a time that way? Now, I did. The problem with electrolysis is it's very long and drawn out process. Okay, it's commercially slightly cheaper, but one of the side effects you can get with consistently using electrolysis is it can actually damage the skin, because it's one at a time of putting a lot of heat directly into that hair. So I was a little bit put off with using that particular technique. Now there may be different schools of thoughts behind that, but that was my particular approach, and Charlie was roughly about the same sort of concern from her viewpoint, that that continued pumping in of the heat with electrolysis on a very sort of intense purpose could actually do a slower sort of result-based, get slower results, but it also could potentially damage my skin a little bit more, which is something I didn't really want to do. So that's why I went for the laser approach. So I hope you found that of interest, that part 1, and now we're going to move on to part 2. So please stay with me. For now, I'm just going to say goodbye and hopefully see you in part 2. Bye-bye.